In this lesson, we're going to learn how to create the barrel for our low-resolution mesh. Alright, so we've finished out the frame of the low-resolution mesh, and now what we want to do is we want to create the barrel. Now, the barrel itself, we could go ahead and create it as two separate objects, but I want to create it as one object. Okay, just continuing on with the frame here. We'll split it apart with UVs. It just makes things easier whenever we're UVing, and we only have to deal with just certain components whenever it's animating and things like that. And so first thing that I want to take a look at on this is what polygons are going to be created whenever we extrude this off for the barrel. Well, you can see that we have a lot of different sides here, and if I count those out, it looks to be about 24. So 12 on this side and then 12 on that side. So 24 sides is a lot. That's a lot of polygons, especially if we need to make cuts down the middle of that cylinder. That basically doubles the amount of polygons. So cylindrical shapes can be very taxing. Now with games now, the amount of polygons, yeah, we can go with higher amounts of polygons, but we still want to use good practices. If the geometry is just not needed, don't put it in there, okay? So 24 sides for a cylinder is a little high. The max that I would normally go might be about 18. Okay, that's the max that I would go. Even on a first-person shooter type game, I mean, we could probably even go lower than that. We can go down to like maybe 16, possibly even 12, if we really wanted to. So how do we do that with this? The first thing we'll need to do is come in and just start reducing the amount of geometry that we have in here. So what I could do is actually remove some of these edges in here. So let's take this edge right here, just hit Control Backspace. Let's do the same thing right here. Notice that it doesn't really change the shape all that much. Okay, it does change the spacing that we have on our vertices, but we'll take care of that in a little bit. We just want to reduce this as much as possible. So this edge, let's reduce that, and then this edge, we'll remove that. So Control Backspace to do so. We have these edges up here at the top. Let's go ahead and target weld. Let's take care of this triangle here. Go here to here. Now we had built those out earlier based on what we had here, okay, but we want to go ahead and we want to straighten that up a little bit. Okay, let's do the same thing here. Let's get rid of some of these edges along this. It looks like I could probably target weld this to here and then this one to here, and that should give us the same amount of sides. You'd probably want to go ahead and count that out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sides, and that's going to give us 9 on the other side, so that's 18. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're still matching up here. We could go ahead and remove one more edge in there if we really needed to. And so I'm going to do that. I'm actually going to target weld these two together right in here. That'll create a couple of triangles, and that's okay. Okay, along the bottom there. And so let's do the same thing on the front. Right click and target weld. And so now we're down to 8. So 16 is a pretty good number to go with if you can't reduce that anymore. Now the problem that we have is that this border right here has gotten less than cylindrical. We've got a pretty wonky shape here. Now we can take care of that pretty easily. Let's go to border mode, select that border, and then we're going to cap that with a single polygon. Now watch this. If we select that polygon, we can go to polygons and hit geopoly, and notice how it straightens up. It turns into a nice cylinder there. And then what we could do is just pull that down a little bit, and then we can put that back into position. So let's go ahead and put that forward just a little bit more. Okay, it's going to stick out. It's going to be kind of round like that. And so there we've got our shape. Okay, we've got it started at least. I'm going to go ahead and hit grow, and I want to flatten out that face there. So let's just go ahead and make planar in, I believe, the X direction. Yep, looking good. And then let's take that polygon and let's just leave it alone. Let's do the same thing on the back side here. So let's select that border. We'll cap that, and we'll select its polygon. And we're going to go to polygons, geopoly. Sometimes it may twist that up a little bit, but that's okay. Don't worry about that. Let me lower that down just a little bit. And I think that's twisted a little bit too much for me. I actually want to rotate that around just a bit. So let's go ahead and take a look at the front of our model here. So we're going to hit V and K. That's going to look right down the end of that. And so I'm going to take this vertex, or excuse me, this polygon. Let's hit F3. I want to make sure that those polygons are matched up. I want those to be very much the same. So let's go ahead and go to VK, go down the front view. You can see that one of those is just off. So it looks like the front one is off just a little bit. So let's rotate that. You'll see that our snapping is on right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and turn that snapping off and rotate that. And what I want is that vertex right down the center at the top. I want it to be straight up and down. Same thing with this one along the back. You can kind of click on that there. I want to be nice and straight, so we'll have to just rotate it just a little bit. Okay, get it as close as you can, and then grab your move tool, and you could just pull that down a little bit and get that to match on the outside edges there. And it should be fairly close. It looks like that's actually a little bit bigger than that one. But no worries on that, so we should be good. Okay, so we've got that set. Let's take both those polygons and let's actually delete those. Let's go to border mode, and let's go in and let's start creating the outside of the barrel. So if we hit F3 and turn off isolate mode, what's going to happen is this border, let's go to our first frame so we can separate those out. We've got this border along the back, and what we can do is we can extrude it. So with that border selected, hold shift and pull that out. You'll see that that creates our geometry there for that cylinder. Now you'll notice it's a little off, okay? And so I'm actually going to take those polygons and I'm just going to pull that up just a little bit, and you'll see that that gets nice and even there. We're going to have to do the same thing for the other one anyway, so we'll get that. So let's leave those polygons just the way they are for right there. Let's go to border mode, select that border, and cap it just for right now. We can take that polygon and we can pull that out to where it's on the outside edge of that. Perfect. Now let's go to border mode, select this one here, and what we need to do is we need to get that to match the outside edge. So I'm going to hold down shift. I'm going to pull that out in the Y. So let's hit F3. And let's take those new polygons there. Select this one, hold shift, get the next one in line there. And then let's hit F3. And what we'll do is we'll scale those up in the Z and the X direction. And what I want to do is just pull that out to where it touches the outside edge of our barrel. All right, looks good. Now, the only problem that I have with this right now is if I turn on isolate mode, is I've got these vertices right in here that are so close together that it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to have that in the low resolution mesh. And so here we could do just a little bit of optimization by coming in and target welding those points together. Now this one here, like this little triangle, we could go ahead and target weld that. Okay, not a big issue on doing that. It might, oops, let's turn off isolate mode. It might start to pull that off a little too much, so let's hit undo twice on that. And let's go back to this shape here. I'm a little more comfortable with that. So now let's go ahead and go to border mode. Let's pull that all the way out to this edge. If we go to our left view, you can see this is the crease that we have. And then what we'll do is actually, let's just pull that all the way out to the end of the gun, just like that. And watch this. If I go ahead and I rotate, or excuse me, scale that down in the Z and the X, get that right down to the end of the barrel, pull that down, get that shaped up there, then we can go ahead and create that crease. Okay. Now it looks like that's just a little bit off from our high resolution mesh. So what we need to do is take all of those polygons and just raise those up just a little bit. Okay, so that way it's centered again. Take a look at what it's created down here. Because we have gone ahead and welded that point, it doesn't really change anything that much. Okay, so that looks good. All right, next thing. Let's take a look in our left view. Let's hit F3 on that. Let's go to edge mode. You can see that we need this crease right here. So go to Edit, Swift Loop, add a loop right along that crease there. Let's try that one more time. Right along that crease. And then I'm just going to take that edge with my scale tool, and let's scale that down in the X and Z until that comes in contact with the barrel, and it should look just like that. Okay, so even striation, so what it's touching on the high resolution mesh, and there we go. All right, so we've got that barrel started. Let's do one more thing. Let's take this border right here. Let's go ahead and cap that. So with that capped, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to polygon mode, and I'm going to select both of these polygons, and I'm going to inset that. So inset that amount, and let's inset that to where it goes on the outside, or excuse me, the inside edge of that barrel. So about 0.28. You'll see that one is just a little bit different than the other. And so what that means is that we're just a little bit off on our scale on this. So one of these polygons on the back side is just a little bit bigger than the other. Okay, and that's okay. What we'll do is we're going to go ahead and just hit OK on that. But I'm going to take this edge, or this polygon, I'm going to scale that up. Just like that. Okay. So we've got these two polygons. Let's delete those. So select them both, delete. Go to border mode, select both of those borders, and then all we have to do now is go ahead and hit bridge. Okay. Now if I go ahead and turn on isolation mode, you can see that those polygons have all been bridged all the way down the end of that. Now on a game weapon, for the low resolution mesh, all of this geometry that's on the inside, probably not the best thing to do, because we're never going to see down the end of the barrel on this side. Okay, and we're probably hardly ever going to see that far down in the barrel on this side. And so what we need to do is we need to think about, can we reduce the amount of polygons? Can we cap that? Can we do something about that? If you really think about it, it's better to do it this way, because you're going to have these polygons anyway on the inside. So if you come in and you, on your low resolution mesh, you go ahead and you create just a small section of these polygons, it's still the same amount. It's just that these polygons are going all the way down to this end. So we have 18 polygons on the inside. If I cut it and then I cap it, that's 18 plus whatever that cap is, plus what's on the back side here. So in my personal opinion, I think it's better to go ahead and just leave it this way. So let's go ahead and keep it that way. We've got our barrel in there. Now the next part we want to do is the underhanging portion of that, and we're going to go ahead and take care of that next. But we're going to do it a little bit differently than we did with the high poly mesh. I don't want to just extrude that down and start building it that way. Okay, I want to take very good care of this curve. I want to make sure that that detail is in there, and we'll start working on that next. So I'll see you then.